Hi guys, a bit of an unusual face to camera video this. The last video I posted was about covering and because it went on a bit to 20 odd minutes, I decided to split it. So the first part of the video is about covering the wings and the tail, and the second video is about covering the fuselage, and that's what this introduction is for. It's my face to camera for that set of video shots, so enjoy them. Having sanded the fuselage down, I'm now going to start cutting out the brown paper. So I've put the first piece on, which is the underside, and just folded it over and just creased where it's going to go. That allows me then to cut to the outside of the fold line, which allows me to turn this bottom up slightly. The sides will overlap and then the top will go over, and that's the way I like to do it. The bottom of the fuselage first, the sides down, and then the top over, which means that when you're looking down on the model, if there were any joint lines that you could see, they tend to disappear because they are facing downwards. So I'll just crack on with cutting this paper out. So with the paper, it's the same process, smoothing down as we did on the wing, and then smoothing down the edges. Same on the other side, so it's a nice smooth join. Arguably this is the easiest part of the lot to cover. So I'll just finish off the front edge, making sure that I lap it over the former. Just going to press it in with my nails, and that last bit there, squeeze that together, and I'm going to cut that little bit off. So it's all these little details here that I'm doing, which, as long as you make sure they're all stuck down, then you won't have a loose edge later when you suddenly you're coming to paint the model and you think, oh crikey, I've got to get the glue out because there's a loose edge. So squeeze those together, just cut those bits down and off and smooth it round. The same with this one here, corners are squeezed together, cut that off, smooth it down. Good, excellent. So the next pieces are going to be the sides. Now really what I wish I had done was, before I glued all the sides together on the construction, I should have thought ahead and thought, you know what, why don't I just mark out the sides onto some brown paper so I've got these all ready to go. But I didn't, hey ho. So looking at how I'm going to do this, I'm going to do a separate piece for the fairing, the wing fairing there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the side down first of all and put this on afterwards, because in a way I want to see this joint, the intersection between the wing and that, because that is a panel, a separate panel on the full size. And if you look at them, I mean, the ones that are in the museums, they're a bit bent and twisted, so we don't want it too perfect. So yes, I'm looking at trying to get one piece that goes right the way down the side there, and the same for the other. Then all I'm left with is a covering strip to go down the back of the fuselage. I will cover this as well, not really necessary. and then finally I will do the cowl ring here, the ply cowl. I'll do that in its own piece. Okay, so I'll crack on with that now. So I've put this piece of paper on the side of the fuse, and I've done the cutouts around here to make it easier to put it on. Obviously I've got to be careful when I'm putting glue on the reverse side of this, because I could easily tear a piece off. But I've got the rough shape in there, slit down there so it slides underneath, butts up against the rear of the cowl, and that piece there will go down quite easily, hopefully on top of the fairing. So I'm going to stick that on now. And a little while later, the fuselage is complete. The cowl is covered. Got to watch that because obviously it curves, so make it wider so you can trim it to suit. And I managed to do the sides in one piece round without a top, the join over the top here. That's the underside we saw earlier, and the fillets, as I said, I was going to use a piece on top, so you can just see here with the, in effect, the joint pointing upwards so that it actually will stick out when it comes to paint. So just going to leave that now to thoroughly dry overnight before I turn my attention to the very subject of painting. So I think I'll close this chapter now. Good point to close it. See you on to the side. A bit of a little face to camera wrap up video. The covering has taken place on and off during the course of one day. Not at it all the time, been cutting pieces, sticking, going away, doing other things and then coming back. It's quite a rewarding task covering with brown paper, but it can be extremely frustrating sometimes. But the most important thing to remember is don't get the brown paper too wet. In other words, don't have your glue too thin. If you do, it'll just turn like paper. You'll pick it up, it'll fall apart in your hands, and when you come to put it onto the surface, the fuselage, the wing or whatever, it'll just tear. But by the same token, don't have it neat. So it needs to be diluted 5 to 10% maybe. But anyway, that's all the covering done. All the bits and pieces are ready. I've now got to decide on what I'm going to use to seal the surface of the brown paper. I don't particularly want to use PVA, it's quite heavy, but I'm also conscious of the fact that I've got materials at my disposal which you may not have yourselves, thinking of the newbies out there. So I've got to think about what can you readily get hold of and use to do the same sort of thing. So I'm thinking maybe of a primer undercoat directly onto the brown paper. I've not tried that before, but an acrylic spray of course, but it's something you can get hold of at a Motor Factors or through Amazon relatively easily and inexpensively. So I'm going to give that a try on maybe the elevator, maybe the tail feathers first of all, just to see how it takes. And it's going to be a very misty coat that I'm going to put on, one that just seals the surface, gets rid of all the fibres, so I can then just give it a light rubbing down with very fine grade sandpaper. Anyway, that'll be the subject of the next chapter. And don't forget, please subscribe, like if you like these, comments below, that's absolutely fine. I try and respond to the comments as and when they come in. But the most important thing is subscribe and like the videos. That helps the old matrix, the old algorithm. Goodness knows why, but it does. So I should be doing that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next chapter.